The United States continues to seek support for its campaign to conduct airstrikes on Syria, purportedly to attack Islamic State extremists who have been fighting the Syrian government. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is scheduled to meet with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Arab League chief Nabil al-Arabi today in an attempt to forge a coalition against IS. But his bid for Turkish support was rejected following talks with Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu yesterday. Turkey had been actively pursuing the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, providing training to rebel groups such as the al-Qaeda affiliate al-Nusra Front.
US-backed rebel groups in Syria have signed a truce agreement with the Islamic State, AFP reported Friday, agreeing to move away from infighting to readdressing their common mission to bring down Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria. The Syrian army, one of the so-called moderate groups that US President Barack Obama would like to arm and train, was one of the groups who signed the truce with the Islamic State. Syria's numerous rebel groups had initially cooperated with the Islamic State fighters against the Syrian government. However, many of these groups have since been fighting amongst themselves for control over territory.
With Bolivian presidential elections less than a month away, candidates' campaigns are entering their final stretch. Indigenous and campesino supporters of President Evo Morales gathered in the city of El Alto on Friday, October 12th, to announce their support for movement towards socialism candidates Morales and Vice President Álvaro García Linera.
Nosotros, con el movimiento campesino,
As the movement of campesinos, we have a proposition, and that is to have a political instrument for indigenous and aboriginal peoples, and that instrument is the MAS IPSP movement. That is why we, the campesino movement in Bolivia, are the founders of this political instrument for the sovereignty of the people.
Del instrumento político por la soberanía de los pueblos.
A traditionally strong base of support for President Morales, the Secretary of International Relations for MAS says that Bolivia's social movements play a defining role in the country's self-proclaimed process of change.
Because our political project comes from the social movements, it's not a traditional political party, but rather a political movement that emerges from the social movements, and so each organization is gradually incorporating their proclamations into the model.
As of publishing time, President Morales was polling with just over 50% of claimed voter support, with the next runner-up, right-wing candidate Samuel Doria Medina, polling in at around 19%, more than 30 points below Morales. Reporting from La Paz, Bolivia, this is David Doherty with teleSUR.
As the elections in Brazil draw closer, incumbent President Dilma Rousseff's campaign is gaining momentum, according to a poll by IBOP released Friday. Rousseff's first-round polling has risen to 39% from 37% over the past week, while her main challenger Marina Silva's support has fallen 2 points to 31%. If no candidate wins more than 50% in the first round, the first and second place candidates will square off in a second round, where polls also say Dilma is on the up. The approval rating for Rousseff's government has also risen 2 points from a week ago.
In Honduras, the rate of school dropouts has increased in recent years. More than 1 million children are not attending any education center. A recent investigation has shown that violence at school has become a major reason why parents prefer to interrupt their child's education instead of putting them in danger.
Many of the schools in Tegucigalpa, Comayagüela, and San Pedro Sula are in the periphery areas that have problems with violence. Those areas are controlled by gangs, known as maras, who are logically a direct menace for the security of teachers, students, and parents.
Schools are also victims of extortion, and if they don't pay, danger increases.
The day before yesterday, a man in a bike trying to rob a mother of one of my students shot her twice, and she is now hospitalized. Thank God the shots were on her legs and not in a more sensitive area. This is something common in this country.
When children are taken out of school, they normally start to work. 500,000 are working to earn their living, and only this year more than 20,000 infants have tried to enter illegally to the United States. Government is promoting a school police to reduce the threats on schools.
It's not a solution we see in the long term. The answer is not necessary to have police or military in the education centers. The essential solution is to attack the structural problems and of social inequalities in the country.
Children migration to the United States and the high rate of school dropouts are part of the consequences of the high levels of insecurity in the country that are now affecting the education centers. Gerardo Torres, teleSUR, Central America.
Ukraine's tenuous peace may be in jeopardy as fighting has broken out once again in Donetsk. Reports indicate new intense skirmishes for control of the Donetsk airport Saturday between rebels and the Ukrainian army in the most violent exchange of fire since a truce began on September 5th. Meanwhile, with Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk saying that his country was still in a state of war with the key aggressor of Russia during a televised interview. Other elements of the truce agreements are being maintained as Kiev and eastern rebels exchanged prisoners of war yesterday.
With just 6 days to go before Scotland's historic independence vote, protesters turned out in force Friday night against the far-right nationalist UK Independence Party, known as UKIP. The approximately 200 protesters gathered to demand the UKIP politicians inside answer their questions and accused the party of homophobia, xenophobia, and racism. While the protesters did not have a unified call on the looming independence vote, most were there to say whatever the outcome, UKIP is not welcome in Scotland. Holding banners saying immigrants are welcome here, UKIP are not, UKIP's leader Nigel Farage has a history of face-offs with Scottish protesters.
As New York Fashion Week wrapped up this week, so too did alternative option New York Uptown Fashion Week, which labels itself an eclectic event fostering a meaningful fashion trade. One of the final events Friday saw plus-sized models highlighting the fact that with over half of US women now a size 14 or above, the designers downtown are missing out on big business. Meanwhile, many Latino designers showed their creations at the event, including Peru's Jose Zafra's Lake Titicaca-inspired haute couture gowns.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. teleSUR, wherever the news, you'll be there.